Minutes setting the stage for why we are here today. On January 20th, 2012, President Barack Obama informed Archbishop Timothy Dolan, the president of the USCCB, that the Catholic Church in America has until August of 2013 to provide almost all of their employees with insurance that covers sterilization, contraception, and abortion-inducing drugs like the morning after pill. If the church refuses to comply with this mandate from the Department of Health and Human Services, various penalties would ensue. The church would be considered an outlaw, a bad neighbor, and its leaders subject to prosecution. President Obama did this with full knowledge that for 2,000 years, long before Plymouth Rock, the Catholic Church has taught that contraception, sterilization, and abortion are intrinsically evil. This is not an issue that admits of compromise. Nevertheless, 60,000 American Catholics and the President, to 60,000 million Americans, the President has said, to be good Americans, we must be bad Catholics. Archbishop Dolan understood what this means immediately. His ironic response was, quote, "So you've given us a year to figure out how to violate our consciences." The conditions to receive a religious exemption are impractical, illogical, and impossible. You must not only serve your own kind, but you must hire your own kind. If you're a Catholic hospital and you need a neurosurgeon, you will start the interview not by asking where you went to school, or how many operations you've performed, or how you regard certain procedures. The first question you have to ask is, are you a Catholic? In other words, hiring, you're forced to ask a question that is normally a violation of EEOC practices. As Sister Marianne Walsh from the USCCB put it, quote, "Must Catholic hospitals, to be true to their identity, now turn away people of other faiths from emergency rooms and fire non-Catholic employees? Currently, Catholic hospitals serve 1 of 6 people who seek medical care in our country. Must Catholic charities hire and serve only Catholics in its food pantries? Until today, you didn't need a baptismal certificate for soup." Make no mistake about it, as the bishop said, this fight is not about contraception or abortion or a compromised Catholic Church. This is about the power of the federal government to define what is or what is not the mission of Christians in their churches, synagogues, mosques, or any voluntary institution. Because if the government will not respect religious liberty, our first liberty, it will not respect the subordinate rights of free speech or free association. I've noticed, and you've probably noticed as well, that quickly the press coverage dropped off after the president gave them an excuse to drop it. This is similar to how quickly the press coverage dropped after Roe v. Wade when the New York Times declared it was over. They were wrong. Absolutely nothing has changed since the president's false compromise on February 10th. When it comes to the actual regulation, it was entered into the Federal Register, quote, "without change," end quote. Actually, it's gotten worse since then. Last week, the Department of Health and Human Services issued a final rule regarding establishment of the state healthcare exchanges required under Obamacare. Chief among the concerns with this rule was the myriad of ways that tax dollars, insurance companies, employers, and individual employees will be paying for abortion. Remember how Nancy Pelosi said in 2010, "We have to pass it so we can find out what's in it"? We are finding out now what is in it. An assault on religious freedom and the greatest gift to the abortion industry since Roe. Consciences and religious liberty have taken yet another hit last week. Make no mistake about it, this is a not so subtle attempt to take a significant step towards free taxpayer abortion. At Notre Dame back in 2009, President Obama promised conscience protection. It's pretty clear now that he lied. In a 2009 speech on health care, he said, quote, "No federal dollars would be used to fund abortion, and he would not permit federal subsidies to be used to purchase private insurance that covers abortion." That is exactly what happened last week, and it's clear now that the administration lied. To ensure pro-life Democrats votes in the 2010 passage of this bill, he promised an executive order banning federal funding for abortion, extending the restrictions to the newly created healthcare insurance exchanges. It's clear now that he lied, and the Representative Bart Stupak clan fell for it. And finally, on February 10th, he gave a press conference announcing his so-called accommodation. 2 days later, as I mentioned, the mandate was entered without change. It was 237 years ago today, on this very day, that these words were spoken. If life is so dear, or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery, forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what the course of others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. Let us echo those words of Patrick Henry, and together we are having an impact, and we will not stop until every conscience is protected.